Howdy, and welcome back into episode 3 of season 2 of the Back of the Endzone podcast. I'm Josh Reisick, joined by Brian Kleski, and we have got a great episode coming at you this week, especially because championship weekend was this past weekend, and championship weekend every year gives us everything we love about college football and more. For this year, it didn't
We
really
had we had
go.
championship weekend. I wouldn't have noticed,
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
I
me too, because
I kind of forgot about championship weekend after the way Alabama played on Saturday.
yeah, and I mean for both of our teams, it didn't really go according to plan or the way we would have hoped that it would have gone.
Hey, I picked
But
Indiana. I just want to say I called that.
hey, and you can say all you want. One thing we're gonna start off just quickly, brief overview of this Indiana Ohio State game. All I gotta say is people talk a lot of crap about Ohio State fans. You can talk all the crap you want to talk about me. I have the most utmost respect for Indiana and Kurt Cignetti. Kurt Cignetti is a great coach, phenomenal coach. Like, look at what he's done to that program in 2 years. And Indiana hasn't won a Big Ten title since 1960, and he just got them there in his second year as a head coach. You look at what he did there last year, getting them to the playoff in his first year there. Now they're the number 1 seed in the country for the first time in program history. And who would have thought? I mean, like, obviously, I'm upset Ohio State lost in that game. It was a sloppy game from start to finish for us. Offensively, we couldn't get anything going. That's partly because Julian Sain was getting pressured like crazy by that defensive line. But I mean, like, and Mendoza, he had a great game. Mendoza didn't put up video game numbers, but he didn't need to put up video game numbers. All they needed was to win the time of possession, stay on Ohio State's side of the field, keep pounding the ball, getting rid of that time. And that's what they did all game long, and they were in complete control.
Yeah, and Indiana's for real. I mean, there's been a lot of talk over the last couple of years since Kurt Cignetti took over Indiana. I know there was a lot of talk last year about their schedule, and then when they played Notre Dame, they kind of got waxed in that game. It was close for a little while, but then this year, I mean, this is what a rebuild is supposed to look like. Kurt Cignetti is doing it the right way. He's handling NIL the right way. He's handling the transfer portal the right way, and he's building his program from the inside out, and it's working. He went into he went into Eugene, got out with a huge win in Oregon by multiple scores. They went into Penn State, even though Penn State by that point was shaky and they didn't have James Franklin. Still a talented roster, still a hostile environment. Faced some adversity in that game, came out with a win, handled business the rest of the way, and then they proved that they belong in this discussion among the teams that can win a national title.
Yeah.
Um, they're right there with Ohio State because they just beat them. Right there with Georgia, the top teams that they're right there in that discussion. And man, the Indiana rise has just been something to see. And if Alabama, we're there in the playoff. If Alabama, uh, you know, briefly getting into some playoff discussion, but we'll get more into this later. But if Alabama beats Oklahoma against the Indiana, man, I'm not sure. I'm not sure
Yeah.
we
I
beat
mean,
them. They're a really good
no.
team, and
And
they play motivated.
yeah, they did. And the thing with this game too is they didn't need to out Ohio State. All they needed to do was play down to their level of football, control the game, and that's exactly what they did from start to finish. They didn't need fireworks. They just needed to win the game, and that's what they did. I wouldn't say there were any fireworks in this game. It was just nitty gritty football, and they came out on top. Obviously, I'm
And
upset about that missed field goal, but
yeah, and I'll say that I, and I didn't probably watch the game as much as you did from what I could tell. Probably both teams played a little bit more vanilla because both of them. I mean, this game was really just all that was on the line was the Big Ten title. Not that that doesn't mean anything, but they're both in the playoffs. You saw that with the rankings. Both of them got a bye. It really wasn't, you know, needed for either of his teams. So both of these teams played very vanilla. Weren't trying to show a whole lot. Weren't trying to get anybody injured. So I mean, that could play a factor in this too. But that still doesn't take anything away from what Indiana did.
yeah, yeah. And meanwhile, I want to go to a different game down in
Oh,
Atlanta. And all I have to say is that Georgia decided to remind the entire country, the entire SEC,
Belt to booty.
everybody, that the Georgia football dynasty under Kirby Smart is not dead, and it has not been dead. It was like Georgia resurrected, dude. It was like it was Easter Sunday for the Georgia Bulldogs out there in Atlanta. And I mean, like, Bryant, you can say what you want, but I think from start to finish in this game, there was no hope. I know in our group chat, Cody was going crazy. There was a lot like Georgia was just in complete control from the moment they had the ball. And dude, just they won the battle at the line of scrimmage all night. I definitely didn't watch the game as much as you did. I was out at a birthday dinner with my girlfriend. I was still glued to the TV while trying to make my girlfriend happy on her birthday. But all I have to say is that, dude, Gunnar Stockton, he like, and he didn't even need to be spectacular in this game. All he needed was to be steady and efficient, and he was. And all in all, dude, like that
Well,
Georgia
the
that Georgia
story of this
defense is
game,
elite.
the story of this game wasn't so much Georgia's offense. I mean, they capitalized off of what their defense was able to do. Story of this game was that Georgia defense going up against Alabama's offense, and pretty much I didn't recognize that offense I saw on Saturday from Alabama. I mean, that was Ty Simpson has been in some uh, pressured situations this year. Auburn went after him a lot. Oklahoma went after him a lot. Even LSU got a lot of pressure on him. But Saturday, Georgia just played with a different fire that they hadn't played with all season. And I do think that it being a rematch in the SEC championship kind of fueled them. But you are right, start to finish. It was Georgia's game. And what didn't help Alabama is, yes, Georgia dominated the game on defense, but there were a lot of costly mistakes for Alabama. Uh, for example, field position was so key in this game. You want to know what on average, Georgia's average starting field position in this game was at the 40-yard line.
Yeah.
Alabama did not get any starting field position beyond their own 25. That was that was part of it. Georgia won the time of possession. Georgia won the turnover battle with one interception, a blocked punt. Uh, I mean, they handled business really, and I don't know. I mean, Bama was banged up, but you can make that excuse if you're an Alabama fan, but so was Georgia. Georgia was out their starting center. They were without a starting wide receiver in Colby Young. I don't know what to say about this game except for Bama just got their butts kicked, and they can either learn from it and get ready to play Oklahoma in 2 weeks, or they can continue down this path and on Friday night get embarrassed by Oklahoma once again. And it's really it was frustrating because you know what this team can do when they're at their best.
Yeah. And I mean, you said it best. Alabama got their butts kicked. I would like to say it even better by saying that Georgia choked the life out of Alabama in that game. They really did. There
Yeah,
was dude, it was just and I kind of want to transition into another game too, where we look at the Big 12 championship, and when we're thinking about the college
Texas
football
Tech did the
playoff,
same to BYU
Texas Tech ran
twice.
BYU out of the stadium in the Big 12 championship. We're not even talking. I mean, Georgia beat Bama 28-7. Texas Tech beat BYU 34-7. And BYU was a legit playoff contender as well. And I think, I mean, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself in this college football playoff talk. I think Texas Tech is a legit dark horse in the playoff. I know obviously they play in the Big 12, but I mean, and obviously I'm still going to hold the SEC and the Big 10 over the Big 12. But you heard, I don't know if you heard the interview between BYU's head coach after the game. He was like, this team deserves all the praise that they need. The only game that Texas Tech lost this year was when they were without their starting quarterback. And it was in a close game against Arizona State. You look at everything else that they've done this year, their resume is basically perfect. And obviously, yeah, it's the Big 12, but I have a my new feeling inside of me that Texas Tech could definitely make a run. I think you might end up seeing them in the semifinal. I don't know if anybody's going to beat them before that point. All they got to do is win a quarterfinal game, and they're in the semis. So, I mean,
I think Texas Tech is a better version of what Arizona State was last year. Because I mean, they come out of the Big 12, they got the bye, like Arizona State did last year. Arizona State gave Texas a hell of a game, but Texas Tech is one of those teams I feel like that can go and win those type of games. Uh, Similar to what Georgia did to Alabama, Texas Tech has done to BYU twice. I mean, again, Texas Tech didn't do anything spectacular on offense in that game. They capitalized on BYU's mistakes.
Yeah,
BYU had a ton of mistakes, turning the football over, and Texas Tech capitalized on that. Similar to what Georgia did to Alabama. Georgia, going back, and I know I'm flipping flopping, but still, they were similar. They were similar games.
yeah,
So, except Texas Tech was, uh, and the point spread was bigger, but still, I mean, um, yeah, Texas Tech, they're dangerous, and they're obviously probably going to be playing Oregon in the quarterfinals because sorry, James Madison, thank you for playing, but I don't see you going into Eugene and getting a win, but Texas Tech can make some noise, and I would caution anybody thinking that they could be an easy win or an easy path. That
yeah.
they are.
I mean, they're a physical team. You saw them that whole game, bro. They were in control, and they've done that majority of
Well,
the
dude, they
year
got
in
a
the Big 12.
linebacker that
I
played
know.
quarterback.
Yes, exactly. And it's like they just out physical the hell out of BYU. And I mean, like that's going to be a really, really good game. That's what opens up um the quarterfinal games on New Year's Day. On New Year's Eve, the only game on New Year's Eve is that Ohio State game playing either Miami or Texas A&M. But and obviously we're going to get into the playoff a little bit more. But one last conference championship game that I want to touch base on. How about Duke just throwing chaos everywhere, winning in overtime against Virginia, and Virginia would have made it in had they not lost an OT to Duke. And we're talking about what a 5-loss Duke team coming into the ACC title game and just giving the playoff one of the most wild finishes because then it creates chaos because then at this point now we know that there's two group of 5 schools in the playoff and Duke was the one that had to throw a wrench in there to just kind of spice things up a little bit and oh dude, what a year.
Dude, I'll tell you what, if it hadn't been for Texas Tech beating BYU, ACC would have been out of the playoffs.
Yeah,
That'd be my feeling. But anyway, yeah, Duke. What impressed me about Duke was not only their win in the ACC title game, but them still trying to lobby for a playoff spot afterwards was kind of funny because everybody knew that they, unfortunately, with 5 losses, you just weren't getting
yeah,
in, man. And but they still tried. They tried. They on social media. ESPN even sent a reporter there just for whatever reason, some case they got a shot. So kudos to them for trying to lobby um to get in, but unfortunately, I mean, 5 loss.
yeah. I mean, and with that though, like you think them winning, who would have expected 2 group of 5 teams to be in this year's playoff? You've got Tulane at the 11 seed and James Madison at the 12. Like I think they're both first round exits when we get as we get into our playoff segment here. But like it's
Well,
like
well,
it's
JMU's a 23-point dog to Oregon
exactly.
in Eugene, and then Tulane, which this game has already happened. Ole Miss won 45-10 as a 16-point dog in a game
It's
against in Oxford. So this is going to be me segueing in our playoff segment. Then we'll go on a little rant here. As an Alabama fan, I get like who witnessed a 9-3 Alabama team get left out last year because their strength of schedule was phenomenal, but they still had 3 losses, and I still thought they could have gotten in. Uh, I understand where Notre Dame fans are coming from. I understand, but Alabama and Miami are not what you should be mad at. It's the fact that we get group of 5 teams.
yeah, yeah. And I
And
mean
the
that's
group
the
of
biggest thing.
5 needs their own thing. I love group of 5 football. I love Sun Belt football. This is coming from 2 people who graduated from South Alabama and love South Alabama football. But the group of 5 needs their own championship. I will preach this to the end of days. It would make things better for the group of 5, in my opinion, and it would make it better for the power conferences. That's just my opinion. Notre Dame fans, be mad at that. Not Alabama or Miami.
Okay,
Sorry.
the one thing that I will make note too is like Notre Dame is the centerpiece of this entire the entire playoff this year. With them not making it, and obviously the committee leaned more on the head-to-head aspect and the eye
The head to
test.
head had to
Yeah,
matter.
it was the main thing, and that's obviously Notre Dame fans can complain that it was week one. The biggest takeaway of all of this is Notre Dame needs to join a conference if you want a shot. Because Kirk Herbstreit said it time and time again during the selection show as well that if you make your conference title game, you're not going to be punished if you lose. If you're in the AC or if you're in the SEC or the Big Ten, if you lose that game, you're not going to be punished as much when it comes to those rankings. The biggest thing for me that I will point out is going into the championship week. Notre Dame was ranked higher than Miami in the college football playoff rankings. Miami didn't play this week. Notre Dame didn't play this week. And the biggest takeaway for me is how and why for them did Miami jump ahead? Like it would be a different thing. And I understand it goes back to the head ahead. It would be a different thing if they had Miami ahead of Notre Dame this whole time going into the selection show. But the last 2-3 weeks, Notre Dame has been ahead of Miami in those rankings. Why suddenly on Sunday does it just change? And I understand. I think Miami deserves it a little more off that head-to-head aspect, but you look at it from that perspective and it looks fishy. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, and I've seen several other people, uh, our friends at Crane and Company, Jake Crane and his and them, they were talking about this. The fact that we have this weekly release show, and the fact that they put Notre Dame ahead of Miami in every single rankings leading up to this I mean this gave kind of an indication that you were going to lean Notre Dame over Miami, and in the end you didn't. So I don't know. I don't know what the solution is to that. And then you pin then but more than ever people are still talking about Notre Dame over Alabama, and I'm like, well, I get where you're coming from. Notre Dame has been playing better ball as of late than Alabama, but it's not just about what you're doing right now. It's the full body of work. And
yeah,
Alabama, despite their loss to Florida State and their loss to Georgia, Bama has the best win out of the top 12. Going into Athens and beating Georgia when they did is the best win. And then you look at the other resume. They beat Vanderbilt at home. They beat Tennessee at home when they were ranked. Mizzou on the road when they were ranked. They lost to Oklahoma by 2 points, but the full body of work, and then they made it to the SEC championship game. Josh Pate said it best. He said they're not going to leave the number one overall seed in the SEC championship game out,
yeah,
three other SEC teams who sat at home this weekend are
yeah,
playing in it.
yeah. And it makes sense. And one other take that I want to take away from this Notre Dame being left out of the playoffs. When you look at this, they were left out because of the head-to-head aspect. Obviously, yeah, I think Notre Dame needs to join a conference. Obviously, their AD's not happy with the ACC after the ACC was promoting Miami on getting in, whatever, blah, 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 blah. The big takeaway that I'm seeing from this is that the committee this year at least cares about those head-to-head matchups. Who's to say that in future years, why not just schedule a cupcake schedule? And if you're undefeated at the end of the year and you're an independent school like Notre Dame, you're in. I think that's going to be a side effect of this happening is that in future years, Notre Dame is going to schedule like teams that aren't as strong, teams that you aren't expecting to be as good, because if they just have to win out and be good and not play in a conference title game, I think that they are going to make it so that their schedule is a whole lot easier in future years.
Well, not only that, but I think the committee set two precedents this year. And one of them maybe backtracking from last year. I think of course, obviously they've set the last 2 years. They've set the precedent of we're not going to punish you if you lose your conference championship game. They did it with SMU, and they did it with Alabama this year. I still think they could have left BYU in. I think BYU also deserved a shot, but again, they lost twice to the same team in blowout fashion, so I get why they didn't. But the other thing is, they also valued Alabama's strength of schedule and strength of record over Notre Dame's. Say what you will about Alabama's loss to Florida State. It was horrible. but their strength of schedule was in the top five. Is in the top five. Notre Dame's is down there at 40 something. I mean, I'm sorry Notre Dame, but and the two good teams you played, you lost to. So I mean,
And it happens. They started off the year 0-2. Obviously, they won 10 straight games, and it sucks to see no Jeremiah Love in the playoffs because Jeremiah Love's having a crazy good year. Obviously, they just released the Heisman finalists too, and Jeremiah Love's in there, one of those four finalists. And it's like he would have been great, but it's like, dude, there's just it comes down to that head-to-head aspect, and that's just the way it came
and
down. That's the way the domino fell. Like,
and my final thing to Notre Dame fans is again, I get it. Trust me, but this was one of those years. So, and I heard somebody on an Alabama podcast say this perfectly yesterday. Last year was a year where there weren't enough good teams, okay, to make the playoffs. At the end, the committee was looking at SMU and then three lost teams at the end. Okay, they ultimately went with SMU. SMU got their doors blown off by Penn State. This year, there were too many good teams that got left that got that, but there weren't enough spots. This year,
yeah,
you had Alabama, Miami, BYU, Vanderbilt, Texas. There were teams that were there or at the end that deserved and ultimately deserved a shot. Notre Dame is not the only team that got left out that deserved a shot. I certainly think Vandy deserved a shot, and I think Texas deserved a shot too. So
it,
be mad at the
speaking of
group of
that,
five stuff.
Speaking of that, not that this is going to ever happen. I don't think it ever will. But I'm pretty sure it was Red Cup College Football posted on Instagram today. How fun would it be this year if there was a college football playoff NIT and you get those teams like Notre Dame, you get BYU, you get Texas, you get Vandy, you get all these other schools that got left out of the playoff, throw them in their own little 12-team NIT playoff.
Technically, you get that with the bowl games, though.
I mean, you do, but it's not an actual playoff. And I saw that and I was like, oh, I like. I mean, it's something too, though. We're leading into this next segment when Notre Dame just opt out of something like that. If there was, like they
Yeah,
did
I
now,
mean,
opting out of the bowl game, and the
and
big,
some teams that get left out of the NCAA tournament basketball, they'll opt out of the NIT.
yeah, exactly. And
So
the big thing for me is I understand that Notre Dame's upset that they didn't make the playoff, but I think opting out of the bowl game it's just like it's taking another domino effect and what's in store for the future of college football with bowl season and whatnot. If a team gets left out of the playoff, are they just going to opt out now? Because you've seen over the years, every year there's so many players that opt out of the bowl games, players that don't want to risk getting hurt, players that just don't care about playing in the Pop Tart Bowl or the Cheez It Bowl or whatever it may be.
who wouldn't want
Um,
to play in the Pop Tart Bowl, man?
exactly. That's what I'm saying. And Notre Dame could have had their chance, but the big thing is like with this, I don't think Notre Dame's on the side of like the ethical team first side where it's trying to protect your players. I think it's more the emotional side where right now they're upset, they don't care, but like at the end of the day, you're missing an opportunity for your seniors to play one more game, get some cool merch, travel to a cool city, fans get to go to an extra game, and then the school gets TV money out of it anyway too. So it's like you're missing out on some extra cash, but
And it's also extra practices, and it's a chance for your early enrollees as well to
yeah,
get practice as well. I mean, to kind of get a look at the bowl games now. They're a small glimpse into what the future could look like for next season.
yeah,
Um, but still, again, and I'm repeating myself. I get it, Notre Dame fans. I get it, Notre Dame. Y'all deserved a shot this year, and as coming from a Bama fan, y'all deserved a chance to get in. Again, your beef is not with Alabama and Miami, it's with the group of five situation. Somehow that's got to get fixed. That's my last point on that.
yeah,
But when it comes to this, again, like you alluded to, you're taking it away from your players to get a last chance to play together and to get a chance to prove that, hey, maybe we did belong in.
yeah,
Remember 2 years ago, Georgia, I mean, Bama beat Georgia in the SEC championship game, and they jumped Florida State to get into the playoffs. Not only was Florida State left out, but Georgia was left out. And what did Georgia do? They put BTA
BTA.
to FSU in the Orange Bowl. Now, granted, FSU had a lot of players left opt out, but again, Georgia hung 60 on Florida State and proved If they could have been in it as well and won it. So
Yeah.
to me, it's a chance, like you said, to
Just
give
prove
your
yourself.
group.
Prove
Yeah,
yourself. Yeah, it's like I mean, I literally talked about it at work today with some friends too. It made me think of back in 2022 in the Cotton Bowl. It was Caleb. It was either 2022 or 2023. It was Caleb Williams' Heisman year at USC. Caleb Williams still played in that bowl game. I don't know if you remember what happened in that bowl game. They were playing Tulane
yeah, I
in the
remember that.
Cotton Bowl, and Tulane was down what 28 points or something going into the fourth quarter and came back and won against a team that was fully loaded. And like for a team like that, like it just and it that helped Tulane. You look at what they did the year after that. Like that was like a pivotal moment for their program, winning a game like that.
Well, that
And
same year, Bama got left out of the playoff because they had lost two to Tennessee and I want to say LSU. They had lost two games. That was Bryce Young's final year. Uh, Bryce Young still played in the bowl game. Jameer
yeah,
Gibbs, they still played in that bowl game against Kansas State and won like 45s to like 10 or something like that, and said, "Hey, we could have gone in and won this thing." I mean, I think they'll end up expanding the playoff. I think we're headed there anyway. As of next year, we don't. I think it. They haven't decided on what format they're going to do next year because the 12 team playoff was only going to be for at least 2 years, and
yeah.
I think they're still trying to decide on if they want to go to 14, if they want to stay at 12. They may even go to 16, but the reality of this is it doesn't matter how many teams you expand to. You can expand to 100, and 101 and 102 are gonna complain that they didn't get a shot. At some point, you got to just realize, hey, maybe we weren't good enough to get in, or there just weren't enough spots. I mean, we gotta. There's got to be something to I don't know.
I'm with you. I'm with you. But I think
That's,
on that note, I think that we should transfer over and get into some Heisman talk. We've officially got the finalists out. Obviously, we've got Jeremiah Love out of Notre Dame. We've got Julian Saint out of Ohio State, Fernando Mendoza out of Indiana, and Diego Pavia out of Vanderbilt. And I'm going to be honest with you, the thing that I'm going to question the most about this year's Heisman. Oh, could you hear that?
no.
Oh, sorry. My computer just started spazzing and playing like a video. My bad. My bad. Okay. So the thing with the Heisman for me, one of the biggest takeaways this year, and I think this year's Heisman is mid. In all honesty, compared to previous years, you look at these guys' stats, what they've done all year. Don't get me wrong, Jeremiah Love is a phenomenal running back, averaging nearly 7 yards per carry. He's a touchdown merchant. But like you look at these quarterbacks compared to previous quarterbacks over the years, and they don't stand out like those other guys the last 5 years in that quarterback race. And for me, it comes down to I think right now, I mean, he is Mendoza's the favorite, but are they going to go by a guy that is in national title contention, the dude that's led his team to new heights coming into Indiana for the first year? Or are you going to go for the guy like Diego Pavia that is a statistical monster on paper, who's put up these crazy numbers all year long, led Vanderbilt to heights that they've never seen before? Obviously, miss out on the playoff, but in my opinion, obviously, yeah, Sain's there too. And as an Ohio State homer, I love Julian Sain. I'm still putting Mendoza and Pavia over Sain in the running. And my heart wants Pavia to win it. I hope that he wins it, but I think it's still going to be Mendoza either way.
I think it's between Mendoza and Pavia. My thing, and going back to alluding to you, like what you said about championship contention. The last four Heisman winners didn't make the playoffs, so
It's a
they
good
haven't.
point.
I mean, they haven't really taken that into consideration. So Travis Hunter won it last year on a when Colorado had a really good year, but still didn't make it. Then you had the year before Jaden Daniels. Then you had
Caleb Williams.
Caleb Williams. So the last three, I'm sorry, three.
Yeah.
Last three Heisman winners didn't really necessarily make the playoffs. So I don't think that has a huge bearing. I mean, it does, but you just haven't had a Heisman moment. Like you haven't had
Yeah.
a like a
You haven't.
I mean, you
Like,
haven't had somebody pull away from the rest, and I think that's what's made it so underwhelming. Um, at the beginning of the year, the talk was Arch Manning, uh, John Mateer. I think I picked John Mateer to win it, and for a little till until he got hurt, he looked like the guy,
Yeah.
but he hasn't been the same since he got hurt.
No,
Then
I'm
after the Alabama Georgia game, Ty Simpson is the front runner, and for a while he stays the front runner, but then his play starts going downhill, and he's no longer in it. And but I will say the two guys that have stayed consistent all year, or maybe even three guys, and not to discourage Julian saying because it's taken him a little bit of time to get to where he is now.
yeah.
But the three guys that have stayed consistent all year are Jeremiah Love, Diego Pavia, and Fernando Mendoza. Those guys have stayed consistent all year with their play. And if you want to go Heisman moments, Pavia on the road at Tennessee is a good one. Because that's a hard place to win. As an Alabama fan who's seen Alabama lose the last two times in Knoxville, that is a tough place to win. Fernando Mendoza against Oregon and against Penn
And so
State
and against Ohio State, man. I mean,
and against Ohio State. And then Jeremiah Love just all year has been knocking out of the park.
he's been elite.
But even last year's race wasn't as
It wasn't. But so one thing I want to allude to real quick, and this has nothing to do with discrediting Mendoza. It has everything to do with just discrediting this year's college football season, with there not being guys that stick out on the page as much. When we look at the last five Heisman winners that were quarterbacks, last five quarterback Heisman winners, right now, Fernando Mendoza's stats this year, he's at 2,980 yards, 33 touchdowns, six interceptions. The last five Heisman winners. So Fernando Mendoza was at 2,900 yards. Jaden Daniels, 3,800 yards, 40 touchdowns, four picks. Then you got Caleb
not
Williams.
to mention all the rushing
Yeah,
yards
exactly. Then
Jaden Daniels
yeah,
had.
then Caleb Williams, 4,500 passing yards, 42 tuds, five picks. Bryce Young, 4,800 passing yards, 47 tuds, seven picks. Joe Burrow, obviously his year was insane, 5,600 passing yards, 60 tuds, six picks. And then Kyler
Kyler
Murray,
Murray
4,300. But out of all of
should
those,
have been two of that year,
the
technically.
lowest passing yards out of all those last five quarterbacks when Heisman was Jaden with 3,800, 40 and four.
And
And he's basically got 1,000 more yards than Mendoza's got right now.
if you want to go off stats, I mean Pavia's got over 3,000 yards. He's also got almost 1,000 yards rushing because rushing is a part of his game. Uh, I don't I don't know.
my
Like
my only
it's
point with that is that this year's class of finalists doesn't stick out on paper as much, or
yeah.
in the film. They're not as flashy as previous Heisman winners. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
I do think the voting will be closer this year than it probably has ever been, or as or closer than it's been in a while, just because there isn't that guy that's stuck out among the rest.
you got to think too.
If it were me voting, I'd go Pavia, Mendoza, Love, saying just because I don't know.
And
It's a
there's the aspect
slippery
too of
slope.
things where you look at it. I know Mendoza rushes the ball a little bit more than Sayan does, but Sayan broke the regular season record for highest completion percentage. Like, is that something that could play a part into that too, with him having basically 80% all year long throwing the ball? I mean, I don't know if that's a factor that would play into it. I don't think it's a determining factor by any means necessary, but I think that it's something that for some voters they might see that as Sayan's got a few more passing yards than Mendoza does, a few less picks, a few more tuds. It's like, is that something that, or I think he has two less touchdowns than Mendoza does. But needless to say, is that something like it is a coin toss this year? Like, I think
Yeah.
it's going to be Mendoza, but it's going to be close.
Well, if it were me, Pavia. Just
I hope it's
Pavia.
Pavia, but
Besides Indiana, I think Indiana's been the main story of college football this year. But Pavia is right there. Diego Pavia and Vanderbilt's emergence into what they are has just been nothing short of incredible. Because if I mean we everybody has been saying it since they beat Alabama last year. Vanderbilt is for real, and and if you paid attention to the signing day last week, they flipped the number one quarterback recruit from Georgia. Even though that kid's from Nashville, it's still tough to do that as Vanderbilt because Vanderbilt has been the doormat of the SEC forever, and now they are a I don't know if I want to say championship level program, but they are emerging as a program
Yeah.
that can compete. And it's I think and I think this year, probably more than ever, I don't know if Vanderbilt is where they are without Diego Pavia. We don't know. So Indiana last year they made the playoffs without Fernando Mendoza, and they were going to be good this year regardless, I think.
Yeah.
So I think it comes to who elevates their team more, and I think it's Diego Pavia.
I'm with you, but I hope Pavia wins this, but I think that it's still going to be Mendoza for whatever reason. But we'll see. We'll see. Now, Brian, into some more current topics because there's no college football this weekend.
Well, hey,
We've
there's
got a
Army Navy. Don't
there's
discredit
army
Army
there's army
Navy.
navy there's army navy there's army navy. There's a whole lot of NFL action, and one thing I'm going to say is the NFL this year has been one of the most bizarre seasons because I still think the Super Bowl race is completely wide open. And I know specifically your team's the Broncos. That's AFC side of things. My team's the Bears. That's not. I think the NFC race is so tight right now. You have to think the Bears lost to the Packers on Sunday, and they dropped from the number one seed in the NFC to the 7 seed in the
I saw
NFC
that.
off of just one loss. And then you have to think one crazy thing, and we'll get into it in our pick'em segment. This weekend, the Broncos play the Packers. If the Broncos win that game, and if the Bears beat the Browns this weekend, the Bears have the chance to jump right back to the number one seed in the NFC. It's so up in the air right now. Like you got to look. You've got the Eagles at 8-4. You've got the Packers 9-3-1. You've got the Bears 9-4. You've got the Lions 8-5. You've got two 7-6 teams in the NFC South between the Buccaneers and the Panthers. Then in the NFC West, three of those teams in the NFC West could make the playoffs right now with the 10-3 Rams, 10-3 Seahawks, and the 9-4 49ers. It's like,
And don't forget, the Lions. Don't forget, of course, the Bears. There's a lot of good teams in the NFC, man. And I think this year, and of course, you can't discredit the Eagles, um, even though they're having some offensive miscues right now. The last few weeks, they're still a very good team, very talented roster. Could beat anyone, and they could certainly go on a run. So don't forget about the Eagles. Cowboys are the same way. So I mean that NFC, I think the NFC race is as tight as it's been in a while because the last few years it's been mainly the Rams and the Eagles, and the Buccaneers with Tom Brady before that. So really, it's and the 49ers. Don't forget about the 49ers. But as a Broncos fan, I am just cheesing through this entire season because I prayed for times like this since we won Super Bowl 50.
Brian, I've been praying for times like this for the Bears my whole entire life. At least you've had like some good years. The Bears have had nothing but misery my whole entire life, dude.
I guess that's right,
You
but
gotta think in 2006 they lost the Super Bowl to the Colts after Devin Hester opened the game by returning a kick for a touchdown. And then the Bears were shut down by Peyton Manning after that. And then you got to think of the double doink to the Eagles back in 2018. That still haunts me every year.
and then
So,
it does my soul good to see how bad the Chiefs are right now.
oh yeah, I think everybody's
Man,
happy about
no
that.
team deserves that more than the Chiefs. And I
Hey,
and being up here in Arkansas, I have coworkers and friends that are Chiefs fans. I'm sorry. I love y'all, but I'm enjoying every bit of this because
it's
the
beautiful.
entire NFL, besides you guys, have prayed for it.
Yeah, no,
And
seriously. And it's
besides
like,
Chris Collinsworth.
yeah, dude, Chris Collinsworth last night was still all over Patrick Mahomes. And I don't get dude, the Texans are a legit team too, man. Like
Yeah,
you
Texans
think they
Texans defense has
they're
really
they
emerged.
yeah, and I mean like Davis Mills came through clutch when CJ was hurt. And I mean they looked good last night against the Chiefs. And I mean, they're on the road. It's still hard to win
Yeah.
in Kansas City regardless. So that was a big win
And
for
I'll be there Christmas night when in Kansas City when the Chiefs play the Broncos. That'll be an experience. But yeah, the NFL, like you said it earlier, the Super Bowl race is wide open, and to think if the Chiefs don't make the playoffs this year, dude, we'll have a new team. We'll have a new team out of the AFC West for the first time in 3 years. I mean, how cool is that? And it is, and it's really anybody's Super Bowl I mean, it's whoever can get hot, really. I mean, the
Yeah,
Broncos, as much as I'm enjoying the Broncos' hot streak of 10 games, and they're playing the Packers this weekend, it could come to an end this weekend, but I just hope they haven't peaked at the wrong time. Like, I hope they can continue this momentum, or say if they lose it a little bit this weekend against the Packers, but when they get into the play, like, and the same thing with the Patriots too. I mean, the Patriots are the same record as
yeah,
us, but
yeah. You guys have both won 10 straight games right now,
11
so
and
it's like,
2.
yeah,
And
it's
it's crazy, dude. It's crazy to see. It kind of feels like for the AFC, it kind of feels like the mid 20 the
dude,
mid
that I was
2010s.
I was talking about that at work just the other day because we were like, oh my god, even with the Bears being up there too, though, because the Bears were good for a time in that frame,
Because
and
you got the
same with the
Broncos,
yeah, you still got the Packers being elite two up there.
Patriots,
You've got
Steelers
the
are in there somewhere,
you've got the Seahawks right back up there. Like,
Colts.
yeah,
Well,
yeah, the Colts are yeah, but
Colts may not be there for long because
I mean,
I,
we'll
I
see.
hate it
And
for Daniel Jones, man.
they've
Daniel
got Philip
Jones.
Rivers coming in for the workout, so we'll see what happens out of that. But
Who do you think? Who
Brian,
do you think's the front runner for the MVP right now? It's got to be Drake May, right?
I think it has to
Should
be.
be Bo Nix, but
I,
you know.
you know what? I'm going to take Shador Sanders. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I think it would be Drake May if I had to take it right now. Yeah, I would say Drake May.
Yeah, Drake May has been incredible, and but he's still not the best quarterback in that class. So
All right, whatever. And we can both argue about that all day long, Brian. I want to get into our pick'em segment now. Let's go back to some college football game. The only college football game coming up this upcoming weekend on December 13th. Shout out to my mom. It's my mom's birthday on December 13th. And I don't
well,
know who she is a veteran. She
it's
is a veteran too. So, and we've got this Navy versus Army game where the 9-2 Navy midshipmen are hosting the Army Black Knights. And this game's going to be close. I mean, every single year, I mean, like it's a rivalry game. There's so much history behind this game. You've obviously got Army's run heavy, physical style offense, and you've got Navy's triple option. And dude, it's like this game every year comes down to something crazy on special teams or turnovers to swing the game. Either way, I'm taking Navy to win this game. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be a physical game, and it's going to come down to whoever I think it comes down to a big special teams play. In all honesty, I think something big's going to happen, whether it's like a huge field goal to win the game or a big time kick return or punt return. I think that's what it's going to come down to. But Navy's been dominant this year. They have been dominant the last few years, so I'm taking Navy in this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Navy too, just because they've had the better season and I think they're the better team. But man, I love this game every year. I eventually like it's on my bucket list to try and go it one year. I mean, you get to see the pride that both of these squads have, not only for their schools and for what they stand for as far as our military, but also our country. You see the display of the two units. The president gets to go out on the field and do the coin toss. It's just a visually as aesthetically pleasing game. Like the visuals, the tradition, the uniforms every year. Like I always get you know
It's exciting.
goosebumps when they come out with the uniforms that they'll be wearing. It's just an Army Navy game truly defines college football in my opinion. It's one of those marquee games that just define the sport, man. I absolutely love the Army Navy game, and I can't wait to watch it this year. I try and watch it every year when I can, and
There's no snow this year. No snow in the forecast. I just looked,
yeah,
just take a look. High of 42 and partly cloudy, unfortunately.
yeah,
But
and more importantly, like thank you to those everybody that serves. Obviously a lot of those players will be playing on Saturday. A lot of them are going to go on to serve, and that's pretty cool. And so, but I'm going with Navy as well. So I did have my soapbox about this game
No,
because
no, I agree with
it
you.
is incredible.
And you can have your soapbox again right now because the next game we're previewing is the Packers and Broncos, where I don't care what anybody says. Obviously, I'm picking the Broncos to win this game, not for your sake, but for my sake as a Bears fan. I hate the Packers. I will show that bias in there. But we're talking about the Broncos being one of the hottest teams in the NFL, arguably between them and the Patriots. You have a 10-game win streak. The Packers have a 4-game win streak, and that's not to say that the Packers aren't going to come out swinging because I think this is going to be a close game. I think this is a game that you should be nervous about. It's especially a game that Bo Nix should be nervous about. And I think one of the big things in this game is the Packers will win this game is if they can force Bo Nix into multiple third and long situations. If Bo Nix has got a 3rd and 10, 3rd and 11 against this Packers defense, I don't see you guys converting. So you have to get those first 2 downs, get the first or get close enough where you've got 3rd and short coming up because that Packers defense is locked in on those 3rd and long plays. And I think that if you guys can be more consistent against them, you guys will be just fine. Obviously, Jordan Love could be super spotty. I think your defense is stingy though, and I think the Broncos come out on top of this one.
Yeah, I am nervous about this game. Win streaks don't survive that much this long into the NFL. I'm wishy-washy over this game. Some of this may be a little bit of reverse psychology, but I am going to pick the Packers here just because the Broncos, I mean, as good as they have been, especially in one-score games this year, it's bound to come to an end at some point, as the win streak, and I think this is one of those moments where it does because, I mean, the Broncos still, especially in the results of the Eagles Chargers, that game, but still, I don't know the the Packers defense is really good. Their front is really good. You obviously got Micah Parsons. Um, Stupid that the Cowboys did that. I still can't believe they did that. But anyway. I just think this is one of those spots where Broncos have won 10 straight, and I just it's hard to it's one of the I think it just comes to an end this weekend. I want the Broncos to win. Don't get me wrong, I'm a Broncos fan, but I got to look at this from an objective point of view, and I do think the Packers unfortunately go into Denver and come out with a close win.
Yeah, and I hope the Broncos win, man.
I
I
hope
need it.
so
I'm
too.
fiending
Don't
for it. I'm
get me
fiending for it.
wrong.
I'm fiending for it. But now into another matchup, which is another big time game in the AFC East. You've got the Patriots, who are same record as the Broncos, 11-2, have also won 10 straight, taking on the Bills at home in Foxborough. And this is a big game too. I think what I saw the Bills last week against the Bengals, people can talk crap about the Bengals all they want. When the Bengals have Joe Burrow back, I don't care about what their record looks like. Joe Burrow is always going to be good with that team. Um, and last week, obviously, the Bills were home against the Bengals. Crazy snow game. Granted, it's supposed to snow in Foxborough this weekend on Sunday. I did check. There's a chance of snow. And the Bills thrive in the snow, man. That's all I got to say. The Bills defense had what, two big time picks off of Joe Burrow. They had a pick six. I think that if they can get pressure to Drake May, I think that they can force turnovers, and I think that that's going to come down to them winning the game. Um, and I'm picking the Bills. I kind of want to see the Patriots go down at home in this AFC East title game, and I think that Josh Allen's going to have a big game. I mean, did you see him running the ball last week? Like, he looked unstoppable, man. Josh Allen, he was last year's MVP. He's got Haley Steinfeld as a wife, bro. Like, he's just living luxuriously out here. And I think that he does upset Drake May in Foxborough.
I'm going with the Patriots, and just because I don't think the Bills defense is. Yes, they did force a couple turnovers to Joe Burrow, but they still gave up over 30 points. Take away those turnovers, and Bengals win that game. But I mean, obviously turnovers are a part of it. But I do think, I mean, Patriots are always good in the snow too. I mean, I don't know why why we're saying the Bills are good in the. I mean, they're both good in the snow because they play in it
The
for a
Bills
good.
are better in the snow, man.
Well,
Historically,
well.
historically.
Anyway, I like the Patriots. I like Drake May. Again, another win streak in the NFL, but I don't think this one comes to an end just because I think it's just because it's in New England. I don't like what I've seen from the Bills defense as of late, and at some point, Josh Allen can't carry them to every win. I mean, it's one of those years again where he's having to do everything to keep them going, and this is this is a tough spot for the Bills because if they lose this game, not only is the division in doubt, but also their playoff hopes are in the balance as well. Well, I mean, I still think they make the playoffs, but still. But yeah, give me the Patriots here. I like the Patriots.
All right, all right. And into another game now. We touched on it a little bit earlier. The Colts going to Seattle playing the Seahawks, and in my opinion, record
Colts
wise doesn't
hobbling to
show it.
Seattle.
Yeah, the record doesn't show it. The Seahawks are 10-3 right now. I personally, in my own humble opinion, I think the Seahawks are one of the scariest teams in the league right now. I truly think that that defense, that offense, obviously they're carried by JSN on that offense. Love to see that, former Ohio State alum. But with that, you got to think the Colts started off as one of the hottest teams in the league this year. They were what, 7-0, 6, something like that.
And they started off
Yeah,
like they beat the Broncos in week two, and then
yeah.
they won like however many straight, and then they ran into the Chiefs, and that was kind of. But
Yeah,
yeah,
but I mean, you look at these last few weeks too. Jonathan Taylor has started to completely slow down. He was one of the best backs. He still is one of the best backs in the league right now, but he's been slowed down and shut down a little bit more the last 3 weeks. He's been shut down. And last week, the Jags exposed a lot of schematic problems with the Colts. Obviously, Daniel Jones got hurt. Riley Leonard's now also hurt, and he's on a week-to-week basis. The Colts might be starting Philip Rivers by the time this game starts. I don't know.
44-year-old
Yeah,
Philip
and I mean
Rivers.
Anthony Richardson's on the IR too. So who are they going to have at quarterback? Whether it's Riley Leonard, whether it's Philip Rivers, that
They,
would be
they
kind of
may put Jonathan Taylor back there.
that would be pretty funny if it was Riley Leonard. Just speaking of the Alabama connection between there with Riley Leonard from Fairhope, and then Philip Rivers coaching not too far away from there.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
different.
St. Michael's is in
Yeah,
Fairhope, but
exactly.
anyway,
But it's
but
not fair. Yeah, I know. Same whatever. But I think that the Seahawks win this game. They're at home, dude. Give me Jacksonville covering whatever the spread is. I don't even know what it is, but they're gonna win big time.
yeah, give me the Seahawks just because the Colts are. We don't know who's going to be a quarterback. It could be me or you at this point. You know, they may take some kid off the street at this point. They don't know what they're going to do at quarterback. They're going to have to throw somebody out there, whether it's Riley Leonard, whether it's 44-year-old Philip Rivers. Like I mentioned, they they might just put Jonathan Taylor at Wildcat with him all game. But seriously though, Seahawks are pretty good. The research, I mean, and similar to Daniel Jones, but with over the span of multiple years, the resurgence of Sam Darnold has just been
Yeah,
crazy because
it
you
has
saw him
been
at the
crazy.
Vikings last year, and terrible mistake by the Vikings not to re-sign him.
And
Uh,
the Vikings had they had Daniel Jones, they had Daniel Jones and Sam Darnold on the same team, bro. Both of them.
and both of them have resurged, but obviously Sam Darnold is the one that's healthy right now. So yeah, give me the Seahawks. I mean, it's not a hard one with you don't with the fact that you don't know who's going to play quarterback for the Colts.
All right, now the next game, our final game of the Pick'em segment, a tale as old as time. We've got Matthew Stafford going up against his former team in LA. It's at SoFi. Jared Goff going up against his former team. Both these teams, the Lions are in third place in the NFC North at 8-5, which is crazy because an 8-5 Lions team, this team could still make a run in the playoffs. And then you got them playing the 10-3 Rams, who have been hot. You look at what Puka did this past week. 2 tuds, had almost 200 yards. This one's going to be close. And for the sake of my NFC North hopes, I really hope that the Lions don't win this game. But I think there's a chance that they do, that they give the Rams a complete run for their money. You look at what Jahmyr Gibbs did this last week. He didn't even need to get the ball. He didn't even need to carry the ball, man. He had like 7 receptions. He had 3 total touchdowns last week. It's like, dude, the Lions are good when they're clicking. It all comes down to, obviously they're on the road in LA. And when you look at what LA's done at home this year, they've only lost 1 game at home. They're 5-1. Um, dude, this game's tough. This game, I think, is like it should. It honestly might be America's game of the week. I'm not too sure yet. Um, I think it might be. I think Tom
It's
Brady's calling that
on
game.
Fox, yes.
Yeah, yeah. Tom Brady's calling that game for sure. Um, dude, I don't know. I give me the Rams. I'm taking the Rams for the sake of my NFC North hopes. But I do this game is a coin toss. It really is.
I'm gonna go with the Lions here, and this is why. I liked what the Lions did against the Cowboys. Obviously, they lost to the Packers on Thanksgiving Day, but they really resurged against the Cowboys and dismantled their defense. Really gave their offense a lot of problems, even though they still gave up 30 points. Um, because the Cowboys were riding a hot hand, and they were gaining momentum, and they kind of just stifled that for the Cowboys. So, and the Rams, I don't know if they've been the same since that loss to the that loss to the Panthers. I like the Lions. I'm just a big fan of Dan Campbell and the
And
way he's
you can't not be a fan of Dan Campbell.
and I
Like
like the Rams too. Like I like Matthew Stafford and I like the Rams, but like the Lions, I pull for them in a different way. Um, I like Jahmyr Gibbs, Jameson Williams, and plus, I mean, I don't know. Like you said, it is a coin toss, but I like the Lions just because I think they have the more momentum as of right now. But you never know.
well, dude, well, this game is going to be too close, dude. Like I don't even really know what to expect because, dude, the Lions are a good football team. That's all I gotta say. But I think that's gonna all but wrap up.
Well, hold on now. Who do you think's gonna win the Heisman?
I already told you who I
Who do
think. I already
who do
told
you
you who I
think's gonna
think's.
win the
I
Heisman?
already told you who I think's gonna win the Heisman.
Not
I
who you
think
want. Who do you think?
I think it's gonna be Fernando Mendoza, but I want it to be Diego Pavia. That's what I'm gonna say.
It's gonna be Diego Pavia. Vanderbilt is gonna have a Heisman winner on Saturday.
We'll see.
The
We'll
Vanderbilt Commodores
we'll
will
see.
have a Heisman winner on Saturday. Just that just sounds so weird coming out of my mouth
Hey,
because
and it's a tale as old as time because you know how many Heisman finalists Ohio State's had since 2016? They've had 8. And you know how many have won? Yeah. Tale as old as time. All right.
it's because Ohio State quarterbacks just don't do enough. They're surrounded by such talent, and they don't ever do enough.
Justin Fields was snubbed the year Devonta Smith won.
Oh,
It
get out
was
of here.
not deserved.
He
It was
finished
not
like
deserved.
sixth.
It was not deserved.
He finished behind three Bama players that year.
Nah. I disagree.
Well, next week will be fun because we're gonna get into
Yeah.
the playoff matchups. First round, you got some intriguing matchups. Bama going on the road to OU, and another rematch for Alabama on Friday night. Then you got James Madison heading to Eugene, Tulane headed to Ole Miss, and then the more intriguing game, the two teams that beat Notre Dame and kept them out, Miami at Texas A&M. Uh, Man, I can't wait for that to get here. I hope Bama
Oh,
shows
dude, it's gonna
up.
be so good.
But yeah, we got
Oh
anything else before we head out of here?
no, dude, what an episode! And we're itching for the playoff. And next week we're gonna be itching about it even more. And it's just right around the corner, dude. It's a great time of the year.
And transfer portals in full swing as well. So
Uh, cannot wait. Well, thank you for tuning in to episode 3 of the rebrand of season 2 of the Back of the Endzone podcast.